you send them off, and then
then I witnessed my mom when they said it's time to vote. Do you want to take them millions of dollars?
I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Help our people
It's great. And
come out of poverty?
do look at it, but
Or do you want to spend some of the little resources that we have and fight them in court?
and then maybe people are like, oh,
My mom stood up with other elders. Other elders said, when our relations are over there dying, that's reason enough for us to say no.
neighbor or
Elders said, the elder picked up their grandchild and said, this is why I'm going to say no for our future generations. And I'm so proud of my mom. She stood up and she said, when we vote no, not one of your butts are going to be in the seats. When we say no, you're going to stand up like our ancestors of old, like what we've been doing for thousands of years, fighting for this land, fighting for the people, fighting for our water and our fish. She said, when we vote, you're all going to say no. When we vote, she said, you're going to warrior up. That's what they did. They warriored up. They stood up, and each and every one of them said no. 100% consensus, where each and every one of them said no. 100% consensus. At that moment, I wept inside, and I said, no, there's hope. No, there's prayer put into what we're doing. When our people went down from 15,000 to 13 people, that spirit of those 13 people were strong. They pulled them through those hard times, and now we're thriving. Our spirit is strong, and it was contagious. Now it went to the point where 71% of British Columbians support the Tsleil-Waututh Nation and suing Canada for not consulting on these pipelines. Now there's hope, where I see and I understand when people have the true facts embedded in their hearts. Now I see and I understand when the people know the true facts of the destruction that this causes, that they'll want to make better choices for their future generations as well. Now I know in my heart, what tells me that we're going to win, and I don't lose sleep over this anymore. Now I know in my heart, and I can say this with conviction like my ancestors of old, like my mom, like my son. He spoke in Seattle recently in a rally like this. My mom tells the story of my grandfather, Chieftain George. They said they're going to kick him off his land, and he said, I'll pick up my gun. I'll fight for the land. That's the only time I'll fight is for that. And my mom said the same thing. She understands what he means now. My son's 17, and he said, you know what? In his speech, he said, that's not going to happen. My grandma doesn't have to risk her life. I will step it up like my father and my grandfather, and I'll be a warrior, and I'll protect our land. I will protect my grandma. I will protect our water. And it was beautiful, and that's what fed me as well. We need the youth like that to stand up for their own future generations as well. So what I believe, like I said, when we start to share the bullshit propaganda that the media puts out, we know that these oil companies making $71 million a day, they come into the towns and the cities and they buy the media. They buy the politicians. And they start to create their own policies that they consistently break and harm our lands and harm our waters. I know here in the United States, there's 2.2 million miles of kilometers of oil and gas pipelines where there's 20 spills a day. We have to wake up the nation. We have to wake up the people. We have to help them to understand the truth of what's going on. That we have to have some choices that have to be made to have a better future for our future generations. Right in this water right here, my children didn't experience what I experienced. As a Tsleil-Waututh people, Vancouver Inlet, that's the lineage of where we come from. That means the people of the inlet. When I was small and when I was young, I swam in that water. When the tide went out, we ate out of the water. I did ceremony in the water, and that's intimate relationship that I have from the lineage of where I come from in that water. And all of our teachings come from there. Our fundamentals of humanity, of love and honor and respect and dignity, pride, compassion, understanding, and truth. We make decisions from there. All of us have children or somebody we love, and when they're hurt, sometimes we cry with them. And that's when our land is hurt, and we cry with our land. Harper, when he found out that Jacolton won the Supreme Court decision, he loved his money and power so much. Unlike me, when I hold my children in the hurt and I cry with them. That's how much I love my children. He doesn't even care about his children because he's making these decisions that aren't creating a future for their future generations. What he cared about and what he cried about is when the Jacolton won that Supreme Court decision, he went in his office and cried. That's what he cares about. I went out and celebrated. I went out and celebrated. So with that, because what we've been saying all along, because they're too dysfunctional, because they're greed, that's what we say. Because they're too dysfunctional about their power that they want, their control that they want. Their children are part of the human race. That little baby who they should be crying for because they're not going to experience the love that I got out of the water or the food that I got out of the water. They're not looking out for that because they're too dysfunctional and they don't know how to do it. You and me and each and every one of us will do it for them. We will make a better earth for them. And the teachings of where we come from, allow me to stand here with conviction. And the story that I just told is reality. Those facts are real. But our teachings are real, and the Spirit's real, and their prayers are real, and that gives me strength. Those teachings that I live by the best I can allow me to stand here with conviction and happily say, as a fact, whatever it takes, we will not let those pipelines and tankers and those tar sand products come through our territories. Awesome.